Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today I'm going to discuss with you the topic of how to get the best deal on a second citizenship, or more broadly, understanding what the true costs are and looking at the different options that are available to you. This comes from a conversation I had with a client earlier today, and we're going to cover it. So before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the all. If you'd like help with these subjects of getting second citizenships and residencies, setting yourself up, optimizing your taxes, opening bank accounts and companies, all that kind of thing, please reach out to us. You can book a call with me, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or send us a message to our websites, offshorecitizen.net and offshorecapitalist.com. Okay, so I was talking to somebody earlier today, and we were just discussing the options for them. And one of the things to consider is some people, and I've run into this more and more, especially we're doing some work with a bunch of people out of India and out of the Middle East, etc. And some people really like the idea, say, of investing in real estate, right? They say, okay, great, I can buy a property. And some people don't like the idea of giving donations. But I think that this is really the wrong way of looking at it. And I wanted to take a moment to contextualize a little bit what the options are for you, as well as these trade-offs that you have to make, because one way or another there's always a trade-off. All right, there is not something just straightforward that is not going to, there's no cost, right? So I think the three things that you need to consider as your trade-offs, okay, are time, money, and meaning like out of pocket, and opportunity cost. All right. So the most basic programs that we talk about typically are these, what they call CBI, Citizenship by Investment, but really are Citizenship by Donation programs. For example, in the Caribbean, right, you give $100,000 to $150,000 donation. Some places, you can go in Europe and you have, again, maybe bigger donations. And in these cases, you're just paying the money is gone, and what do you get in trade for that? It's like, well, you tie up less capital in most cases, okay? And you take less time, okay? Or at least it's quite quick. The flip side is on the opposite extreme. You have some programs where you're not really doing the citizenship by investment, you're doing citizenship by naturalization, and okay, you don't get things as quickly, right? But you don't have to spend the money, right? This might be, doing a golden visa in Portugal and working towards there. It might be going and living in Argentina or Peru or any number of countries really, because most places offer citizenship by naturalization after some period of time, usually 5 to 10 years. And if you're willing to go and live someplace for 5 to 10 years, then hey, by all means, you can get that citizenship pretty inexpensively. So I've got clients who are going to move into Ireland, and they're going to live there under the non-dom program, and after 5 years, whatever the number is, apply for citizenship in Ireland, okay? That's a perfectly reasonable option. You can do the same thing in Switzerland. You can do the same thing in lots of places. The consequence, of course, is speed, right? Let's say you're an American, you want to renounce your citizenship right away. Well, you don't have that ability. The other thing that goes along with this on the speed side is you have to go and live in that place, and there may be consequences to you in that regard, right? Maybe there is tax consequences, etc. Yes, some of the golden visas, you can spend a minimal amount of time there. You could go and you could do a golden visa in Italy, and in the 10 years that it takes to become a citizen, you only have to be a taxpayer for 3 years. So, okay, you can, and there's pretty favorable tax regimes you can have. So, okay, you can make that work, right? One way or another, the point is there's a consequence, there's a trade-off. Then we have these ones in the middle, right? How do these ones in the middle work? Well, this would be something where you tie up the money. It's not high fees, but the money is tied up. The most famous of these is Turkey, right? The most popular citizenship by investment program. It's like the one true, real citizenship by investment, or at least the one that's really fast. You buy a property, $250,000. Okay, you can do the bank deposit option as well. And you can say, all right, I get my citizenship right away within a few months, but I have to hold that property a minimum of 3 years. Typically, we say it's going to be 5 years because otherwise you're going to pay capital gains tax on it. And although the property in US dollar terms may not have gone up, in lira terms, it may have gone up because the lira is going down, right? So that's something to be aware of. Similar, we have Bulgaria, right? I can go to Bulgaria. I can put in my €500,000, A year later, I can increase it to the €1,000,000 and I can get my citizenship fairly quickly. It's a good quality passport, right? I have to keep the money tied up for 5 years. Well, let's think about that. So you might say on the surface, it's like, all right, you can spend 10 to 20 grand in legal fees in Bulgaria, maybe 10 grand in legal fees in Turkey. All right, not such a big deal, right? In the case of Turkey, your rent is probably going to pay for it. It's almost like a free passport, right? But you do have a bit of opportunity cost compared to what you might have done otherwise. The opportunity cost is much greater in some place like if you have to buy bonds, right? Formerly, they changed the Bulgarian program, but formerly it was bonds, right? These are going to be low interest bonds. You're saying, all right, I've got €1,000,000 tied up, there's 1,024,000 for 5 years. What's the opportunity cost on that? Well, very conservatively, very conservatively, you can get 5% on your money, right? Like anyone can get 5% on your money. I've mentioned famously here that I try to target much higher than that, but you can get 5%, right? You can buy very safe dividend-paying stocks that pay dividends of that much, exactly, right? So what is that? That's €50,000 a year for 5 years. That's €250,000 that you just took as opportunity cost. So did you really save something versus not paying for a Caribbean option for 100,000? You know, true, better passport, right? True, you know, maybe gives you access to Schengen. There's a bunch of different things that may come with that. So there is a trade-off. But don't think that you were getting something for nothing. Okay, you weren't. It was a trade-off. And the trade-off is perfectly reasonable. If you're someone who's sitting there saying, I've got quite a bit of wealth and my money's sitting anyway, I'm fine parking €1,000,000 for 5 years. I'm going to come back. You know, I was probably going to park a bunch of money anyway. No big deal. Maybe you say, hey, listen, I'm going to buy a property anyway. Buying a property in Turkey, no big deal. You know, I kind of feel that way, right? I'd say $250,000. All right, not that big a deal. You can go and you can put it in, you know, property in the US or property in UK or property in Italy or property in Turkey. Well, at least in Turkey, you get a citizenship, right? So you have a win there. Is the market the best? You know, we'll see. We'll see how it performs. So anyway, the whole point is, I think you can play around quite a bit depending on your goals and depending on your resources with which is going to work best for you. There is no one size fits all. There's not like, hey, listen, a donation is better or, you know, going and living someplace is better. No, it's what are your goals? What is your situation in life? Let's plan around that to get you the best option. For some people, having something quick is important and then something good is important. I have people I'm working with who they're buying multiple citizenships for this reason, right? They say, okay, I'm going to get a Caribbean program because that's going to give me something fast, and I'm going to get a European program because it's going to give me something good. Okay, that's a reasonable option for the right person. You might be that person, you might not be that person. On the other hand, somebody says, hey, I don't really need a second citizenship, I just want a backup, and so parking money in Turkey doesn't seem so bad. Some people will say, you know, they've got money in an investment account, they can take a margin loan, and so they can keep those assets there. It's not really costing them anything. The cost of the margin loan is super cheap. They take that and they put it into a program in Turkey or, you know, a bond program somewhere, and that's working double for them. And they're fairly secure, so long as they have a good margin of safety in the margin account, good. Like whatever it is that works for you. But I think it's really important to understand that to get the best deal is for you, contextual to what your goals are and to what resources you have, and understanding, think about the opportunity cost as a real cost, not just something that's free. And if you look at it that way, you may think of it differently. I hope that helps. If you guys have comments or questions or something, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. I really appreciate your support, and I'm going to look forward to seeing you on the next video.